Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever happens to be while you're watching it. So, watched a video this morning and kind of got under my skin. So, I wanted to give a little bit of my perspective on this plus a few other things. So, there's some things that this is about Afghanistan, by the way. So, there's some things I don't think people are remembering or have forgotten or whatever when it comes to our military chain of command. So I'm going to show you something that should upset you, and then I'll give you my take on it. So,
Defense Secretary Austin, how many U.S. taxpayer-funded military aircraft have been flown out of the country, and what are you doing to get those back? We've heard of Afghan pilots taking those planes to third countries. And General Milley, you talk about the intelligence reports, and you said there wasn't anything suggesting 11 days that Kabul would fall. But you do mention there were some reports suggesting it could fall apart in weeks. If so, why did you abandon the Bagram airfield? Why did U.S. military pull out, given the uncertainty?
So before this guy's answers, I want you to understand, this is the Secretary of Defense, number 2 in our military chain of command. Number 1 being the President, the Commander-in-Chief. Number 2 is the Secretary of Defense. And then below him is the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and then obviously the military chain of command. This is the number two person in over all of our military branches. He was asked what happened to aircraft that were flown out of Afghanistan by Afghani pilots. I want you to pay attention to his answer.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Jen, in terms of the aircraft that have been flown out that you mentioned earlier, I have received reports of a number of aircraft that were flown into Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Exactly how many, I don't have firm numbers on.
This motherfucker doesn't know how many of our aircraft were flown out of Afghanistan by non-U.S. military pilots. He doesn't know. The number 2 person in our military chain of command, Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of Defense, Joint Chiefs of Staff, on down, Secretary of Defense, does not know how many of our military aircraft that you and me paid for were flown out of Afghanistan by non-U.S. military pilots. Doesn't know where the fuck they went. This is our Secretary of Defense. He needs to go. He should have never been confirmed. The only reason why he got confirmed is because of the 50-50 split in the Senate right now. He should not be there. Even if you just take in consideration of what went down in Afghanistan, if you just look at the amount of equipment, this is not just airplanes, or aircraft. We're talking about everything, MRAPs, Humvees, drones, weapons, small arms, large arms, just left in theater. If you just take that into consideration, he should know, and by no means have a job. Should be gone. He does not know how many of our aircraft were flown out of Afghanistan by non-U.S. military pilots. Our Secretary of Defense. Let that stew for a minute.
In terms of what we're doing about them currently, right now, Jen, we're focused on the airfield and getting people out safely. And so we're going to take that issue up at a later date.
He's focused on the airfield and getting people out safely. Bullshit. Right now, there are U.S. military forces on ground at Kabul airport. Their standing orders are to not leave the airfield. And it's not because of wanting to, or because of the possibility of leaving defensive posts abandoned or not manned or manned inadequately. No. That's not it. is because from the suits and stars in D.C., they don't want our troops out into the city retrieving our citizens because it might upset the deal we have with the Taliban. I'm going to say that again. The suits and stars in D.C. have given standing orders to our troops on ground in Kabul at the airport to not leave the airport and go out in the city and retrieve the thousands of American citizens that are stranded because we do not want to upset the deal we have with the Taliban. I want you guys to stop and think about something. Every member of the U.S. military forces in all branches, they all swear an oath. Officers enlisted alike, they swear an oath. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay? Who are they making that oath to? They're not making that oath to the stars and suits in D.C. They're making that oath to you and me and all American citizens. They are swearing on their life they will defend us against all enemies, foreign or domestic. That's who they are making that oath to. They are going to defend the Constitution. They are going to defend us. So right now we have estimated 40,000 U.S. citizens in Afghanistan. Now keep it in mind who these citizens are. Yes, there's some three-letter agency people there, granted. But there are people that were out there building roads. They were civilians. Civilians out there building schools, Christian missionaries, and all, plumbers, electricians, everybody out there helping to build the infrastructure in Afghanistan. So just regular Joes, not combatants, just people out there trying to build and make a better future for the people in Afghanistan are stranded, cannot get to the airport. These are U.S. American citizens that cannot get to the airport because the Taliban has put a ring around the airport and are preventing people from coming in. They're checking all their IDs and all this other bullshit going on, right? While this is going on, our troops, our military have been ordered to stand down and stand by at the airport and do not leave the airport because we don't want the powers that be in D.C. do not want to upset the deal that was struck with the Taliban. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of U.S. citizens are stuck, stranded in enemy territory with no means to defend themselves and no means of retreat, no means of evac, no means of rescue, when our military forces are literally blocks away. So this isn't just a Secretary of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff issue. The President, the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and every commanding officer in that chain of command, down to and including the commander who's on the ground right now, you all need to resign. You all need to be removed from command. You don't have what it takes to be a leader of American troops. Every commander on ground right now should be disobeying those unlawful or unconstitutional orders, sending our troops out and picking up the American people that are stranded. If a Taliban person gets in the way, smoke that motherfucker. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. We take care of our own. If we can't take care of our innocent people, non-combatants that are stranded, what fucking good are we? If you happen to see this and you happen to be a commander that is on ground in Afghanistan, grab your nuts, do your fucking duty, and go get those people. Yes, it comes with penalties. Yes, you'll probably be court-martialed. Yes, you'll end your career. Yes, you're going to lose rank. Yes, you'll be drummed out of the fucking military. But the other side of that coin is if you don't do what is right, when you see American hostages on news channels and TVs getting ransomed, beaten, raped, and beheaded, that falls on you. That's happening because of you, because you failed to execute your fucking duty. Deputy commanders and XOs, if your commanding officer will not make that order and allow our troops to go get our fucking people, relieve him on the spot. I don't care if you have to have a military police officer put a pistol to his head and take him away in handcuffs. I don't care. Go get our non-combatant, innocent U.S. civilians that have no means to protect and save themselves. That is what you swore an oath to do. Yes, I'm a little upset about this. I swore an oath twice. Actually, technically speaking, more than that, but twice in 2 branches of service. I know where I stood. There was multiple times that I bucked my chain of command because they wanted to come down with some stupid shit, and I told them absolutely fucking not. This is not what we're doing. As a senior enlisted soldier, no, it wasn't happening. I took heat rounds from people. I got verbally counseled because of the stuff I did. Now, it wasn't as life-threatening as what we're dealing with right now, but still the fact remains, when something stupid comes down, you ignore it, you get the mission done. Right now, our mission for our troops in Afghanistan, because of this fucked up chain of command and this fucked up decision to withdraw, we have American lives on the line. So when it comes to our Joint Chiefs of Staff, let me remind you of a few things probably some of you have forgotten. The same Joint Chiefs of Staff that we have right now are the same ones that threatened to resign at the mere rumor of Trump invoking the Insurrection Act after the November election. They were willing to resign to prevent this rumor, which was never a thing, from happening. This same Joint Chiefs of Staff are the ones who lied to President Trump and told him all of our troops were out of Syria, when in fact we still had thousands of troops on ground in Syria. It's the same group of people. This is the same Joint Chiefs of Staff that fought Trump when it came to withdrawing our troops from Afghanistan. The May deadline that Trump put in is the deadline that they forced Trump to take. It's the same group of people. They are politicians wearing a uniform. They are not warriors. I will take every one of them, each and every one of them, to the woodshed, to the wood line, any day of the week. This is my offer to you, Joint Chiefs. Every one of you needs to be court-martialed, reduced to the rank of E1, lose every one of your benefits, and be drummed out of the military without a retirement. Every one of you. If none of you had the balls to stand up to your Joint Chief, to the Joint Chief, and relieve him of his command because he's ineffective, inefficient, he's costing lives and billions of dollars of equipment, then you are just as guilty as him. That's all I got to say about that. Have a good evening.